Welcome, everybody. John Zager. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's 10:20 here in Colorado on the eastern slope. Beautiful day. 73 degrees. Yay. No clouds but haze again today. Haze everywhere. I don't know. All I can guess is that's the California fires or something. And maybe it is and maybe it isn't. I don't know. But it's a beautiful day here. We haven't had any rain in a couple. The humidity's been pretty good. I haven't been looking at the numbers, but I'm sure it's fairly low. Wow. Drinking iced turmeric tea. No ginger in it today. But I found out the ginger is almost as good as the turmeric for inflammation and that sort of thing. Took care of some errands this morning. Just finished cleaning my car, my truck. I don't know why I call it my car, but I do. And kind of heading out east of town for a few minutes just to do this podcast for you guys. And I still have to do a blog today, so I'll get after that right after we finish this. And looks like it's going to be a nice day. Hope everybody's fine. It's Tuesday, yeah? Cool. So the podcast today, not a big one, not a long one, but I was reading a research paper this morning. It was kind of cool. The research was on poor people. That's kind of a bad phrase, but poor people, it said, and happiness. Is it possible for poor people that are on a very limited income, that live in lack? Maybe that's a better way to say that. But it talked about, are those people ever happy? And the study went on to talk about their research, which is, you guys need to understand research. It's not like this highly technical, skilled sort of endeavor. Actually, it's not anywhere close to that. People go out and observe. That's what happens in research. And in this research that I read, there was some school, I don't know, Eastern Coast or something like that, if I recall correctly. And they went out and found, I don't know what it was. It was like 248 or 58 people living in lack. I mean, they actually went out and found them. Homeless people below the poverty level. I don't know if it said how detailed they got, but they were fairly certain that these people were in lack, these 248 or 58 people they found. And their findings in this research indicated these were not happy people. like what, you're going to expect something different? These were not happy people. These were people that were struggling. That was a word that they used. Obviously financially, and they were struggling with housing to get four walls and a roof. They were struggling with food, right? And here's the one that I'm always talking about. And you guys, those of you that listen to me on a fairly regular basis know that I'm always talking about this, but people don't treat poor people fairly. This was the gist of their research. It really was, because they went back to it quite a few times. And if you're poor, or you live in lack, or you live below the poverty level, or you live in your pickup truck, or behind a building on 5th Street, or in an alley, or in a shelter, and you're trying to feed, I don't know, maybe you have a kid or two with you. Lord forbid, I hope not. You're trying to feed yourself. You know, you're going to the food banks and all the charity places that give out boxes, or I guess it would be sacks of groceries. And all the food and all the groceries are terrible, horrendous. There's 2 things they give you. I know this from fact. They give you bread, every imaginable white bread they can muster up. Okay? Tables of bread. They figure if you can't eat anything, eat bread. It's a starch. It'll fill your stomach and expand or something. Whatever bread does. And the other thing they give out at all these food banks, food pantries, and this one's kind of interesting, is that they give you sweets. Every day-old, 2-day-old, week-old sweets of any kind, and just use your imagination, that are in the grocery stores that outdate, the date's outdated. They send them to the food pantry, and the food pantry gives them to all the homeless people. The other thing they get, and what I'm leading up to, I'll just tell you right now, is there is absolutely no protein. To survive and live and maintain life, you need to have protein. Period. I don't give protein. There is no protein. But the other thing, the third thing I was thinking about was they give you fruit that's all spoiled. They have every imaginable fruit, again from the grocery stores where it's dated, and spoiling, right? Spoiling. And they give you fruit. So here's the deal. I guess I got carried away with the food thing, but you're treated somewhat with disrespect. I mean, if you're going to feed a homeless person that's living in lack, has no money, has no housing, has no transportation, struggling to survive with food, give them some food that won't make them sick and die. I've spoken to, and this is fact based on my research, homeless people that talk about, John, I ate some of this stuff the other day, some of the fruit or whatever they were talking about. Maybe there was some canned goods or something that were not very good. And the first thing they talk about was, I got sick all night long. So when an item has an expiration date, I understand there's a little leeway with that, and I understand, they're trying to help the homeless people with, even though it says expired, maybe it's good for another day or two. Well, I don't know about that. I talked to quite a few people in that category, and they get sick from this food. So people living in lack are not treated very well. The other thing, people have nowhere to clean up. There's community centers all across the United States. In most every town or city, you can find a community center. And now understand, these people don't have money. I mean, they might have a few $100s to get them through for the month. By what reason, I have no idea. You know, maybe they're cutting grass. Maybe they get some disability. There are a lot of people that take advantage of stuff with disability out there. But so they need to grab a shower and clean up and do personal hygiene, right? Of course. I wonder about parking down here. I never go down here and park, you guys. I'm going to try this for a little bit today. I will probably move, but don't worry about it. So, what do they charge you? What would you guess is the fee for taking a shower? You know, cleaning up, shaving, all that good stuff. What I see around here is it's like around $4. $4. Now, granted, people don't, you know, the homeless people, the people in lack aren't taking a shower every day. But that's a lot of money. For a 12, if you showered 3 days a week, $16 if you showered 4 days a week. Boy, that's good tea. So they're treated poorly that way. Here's the other thing, their research, that article I was reading on happiness and lack, people in lack. They're constantly, in this article, they kind of talked, I don't know if they used the word harassment, but they're constantly being moved. I can't remember the word they used in that case. But, you know, the police come up to them all the time, 24 hours a day, and this is their research, and it's my research. I know this as a fact as well. They're constantly moving those people along. You know, you need to move along. You can't stay here. You can't sit here. You can't park here. There's city ordinances, county ordinances. I don't know. But there's always somebody looking out to see if there's homeless people and notifying some authority to move them out of that location. So again, more disrespect, right? Okay. You know, the article just was trying to bring up several points, and I'm sure there were more. What else did they say? So in regards to the happiness, and they related it directly to happiness, and they took these 248 or 58 people, and they did brain scans on them. Well, you don't have to be a neuroscientist to know what I'm going to tell you. The brain scans showed that under those conditions, and they simulated conditions, you know, with people out there on the street, and there was no, they can kind of see on a brain scan through different coloration, okay, whether a person might be depressed, whether a person might be happy, might be sad, might be angry, might be violent, might be hostile. You know, there's all kinds of different things. And then the coloration again in certain parts, the limbic system, obviously, has to do with the emotions. And there's 4 different parts of that. We went through that last week. And, the coloration within those 4 brain areas. And what they came up with is the obvious, exactly what you guys already know, is that people who are in lack or in poverty or below the poverty level and are struggling to survive, survival was another thing they tested, have little to no happiness. They don't show or indicate any happiness, joy. Their love quotient, their love quotient, I'm going to say non-existent, but very, very low, right? How can you have a fair amount of love for another human being when the other human being is trying to move you along, have you removed, mistreat you, disrespect you? It's pretty hard to generate a lot of love at that point. So the research was an interesting one. I thought it was noteworthy. And they did find, and this is the last part of their research project, and again, probably when I look around and talk to people and visit with people, I haven't ever tried to figure out the percentage, but they were talking about under 10% of the people showed, happiness, that they could obtain happiness. Not regularly, not all the time, but that from time to time they could get readings with these people that would indicate they have some happiness. So here's the takeaway. The takeaway is that stuff all hardwires. It all hardwires. The neurons hardwire. Well, John, we would have known that. I mean, if you're treated that way and if you feel that way for a long enough period of time, I'm sure those negative emotions or neurons become hardwired. True. But here's the bigger negative to that. Some of the people actually get out of lack. Not many. Trust me, it's once it's hardwired in you, there's no getting out of it, so to speak. But the people who do, and it's a very, very small number of people, I don't think they even gave a number out of the 248 or 258, but a few of those people, when they're able to get up and, take care of their own needs and wants and not live in lack, the negative emotions and the hardwired negative emotions usually come with. So think about this for a moment. Have you ever run across a person who's not in the street, not in the ghetto, not living in their truck, not living, behind the building down the block, but just above poverty? They might have a little room, they're indoors, they have a little job where they can support themselves and with some food, and they can take a shower every day to feel better and stuff. But have you ever run across those people and found them to be just happy, happy, happy? No. Absolutely not. That's asking too much. When you've experienced trauma, and now that was another aspect of the report, was that these people going through this, as much as they get accustomed to that way of life, right, which is abusive and disrespectful, they're experiencing trauma. So when you have an opportunity to get well, it's more difficult because you're having to deal with the emotions of the trauma and the brain damage. Now please understand, they talked about this in the study, is that there's brain damage that occurs during trauma. Not pretty. So happiness is a long shot for the people living in lack, and in hopes that they eventually get out of lack, which is limited. They're going to bring the trauma and the hardwired negative emotional feelings with them. And their struggles just continue on the other side of the fence. Does that make sense? You guys follow me on that? So, my takeaway is maybe, I understand there's a lot of con going on out there with homeless and poor and lack, but it's out of necessity, and it's as a result partly due to the trauma. And they're going to do whatever they have to do to survive. But can we, this is my takeaway, can we take another look at each individual that we encounter? I'm not saying we're going to go out there and just help everybody in the world. That's not going to happen, and that's not realistic. But maybe we should give people a second look. Here's my last thought about this subject. There's a lot of people that are prosperous and doing well. And they're not very happy people. They're not very fun people to be around. They're actually pretty obnoxious, and you want to go in the opposite direction. But sometimes we give those folks a second look. I'm just suggesting maybe we could do the same for people in poverty. So I hope you all have a good day. God bless everybody. Take care of one another. And I'll look forward to talking to you all again real soon. See you. Bye.